There is a general perception that the most recent generation lack the cooking skills of earlier generations, and instead are relying on prepared meals and takeaways to provide a lot of their food. This reliance then has consequences on their health, with poor levels of nutrition and high levels of salt in their food. Now, the current generation do seem to do less cooking than a generation earlier. Previous generations as a whole, though, may not have done as much home cooking as some people may perceive, depending on how far back in history you go and where you live. The general concept of takeaway food dates back to the ancient times. It wasn't something that was used occasionally, but instead something urban dwellers relied upon every day for their food needs. General houses for the vast proportion of the population even lacked facilities for cooking at home, so food would have had to be obtained from some other source. Both ancient Greece and Rome had permanent counters serving food to the public passing by in the street. We also have tons of records of bread and beer being supplied each day to the workers who were constructing the pyramids. The beer that was supplied had a relatively low alcohol content and a high calorie content, which then combined with the bread meant the workers had required energy for construction, didn't need to spend extra time and energy doing any of the cooking and meal preparation. This method of preparing food was essential in Egypt, especially when so many people needed feeding, as the food for cooking was hard to come by where the pyramids were being constructed. It resulted in bakeries being a huge industrial production, not some single person entity or even a family-run bakery. They in turn would need their own supply chains for the fuel and also for the preparation of grain to make the flour for the bread. The fuel possibly being created by converting acacia wood into charcoal, and then again required another organised group of workers to produce the required regular supply of fuel. The organised fast food service wasn't restricted to the ancient world either. Aztecs produced tamales sold on the street in large numbers. Medieval London likewise was selling huge numbers of pies. Other countries from China to Turkey to Italy providing similar services. Now, after the Industrial Revolution, factory-owned shops supplying food for the workers were created. Then it evolved into workplace canteens, again feeding hundreds of workers at a time. A process which was magnified during the World Wars, as demand for production increased, as well as the food supplies being restricted. India had their own version, with workers being supplied tiffin boxes. After World War II, many workplaces continued canteens and other related business food providers. In some countries with different priorities, the owners of the factories, or even those with the decline of factories, the number of people being fed by canteens or similar outlets rapidly declined. Now, this decline was also matched by an increase in the number of kitchens and food preparation areas in private houses. So in the second half of the 20th century, home food preparation became the norm in many countries. While parents of the latest generations of home cooking and food preparation, food was a common source of food. It's even thought of the norm. They are a bit of an anomaly in urban history. The current generation appear instead to be reverting to an earlier accepted method of attaining food, especially for those in the urban areas. The newer issue for food does appear to be with the quality and nutritional content of the food that's being provided. If we go back to this time of the construction of the pyramids, the quality of the nutrition in the food would directly input the output of workers. So pharaohs and others in charge of construction had a vested interest in providing relatively good food for the workers. This methodology largely continued until the Industrial Revolution. At this stage, the owners of the factories and related food providers didn't need the workers to be doing the same level of manual labour as before, since the machines were doing a lot of the actual physical effort. This resulted in workers needing a lower level of calories in general than their rural relatives. Some of the factory owners worked out a way to exploit this. This by paying workers in what's known as truck. This could be a form of coin which could only be spent in factory-owned and run shops. Alternatively, they had all the services of life paid for by the factory, so they lived in factory housing, ate what the factory provided. At first, this seemed an excellent situation for the workers, but there were issues. Factory owners found that workers were obliged to use their services provided. They could then reduce the amount spent on those services and make a larger profit in the process, which resulted in large developments of low-quality housing, often called slums, and the food being provided being of poor quality, sometimes with items like sawdust added to the bread to bulk it up. This in general increased the profits for the owners, but also had a negative impact on the life expectancy of the workers, especially when combined with the pollution that those workers often had to breathe in. Now, eventually, government stepped in and introduced legislation like the Truck Acts, which meant workers had to be paid wages where they could spend where they wanted. The result, nutrition and living standards slowly improves. Some governments also had slum clearance projects for improving the housing in urban areas. These areas were often prone to outbreaks of disease, especially among groups who were not eating the nutritious diet and they were breathing in the pollution from the factories. The general upshot of this is when the latter part of the 20th century rolled around, life expectancy and nutrition had improved, along with the proportion of home cooking done by families was also increasing. Now, in the 21st century, home cooking is generally on the decline, so unfortunately is the levels of healthy nutrition. For some groups, this is actually impacting life expectancy as well. Now, humans have an evolutionary bias towards high-calorie foods like sweets, cakes, pizzas, and burgers. But without the earlier generations' levels of physical activity, much of this high-calorie food is being stored as fat, leading to health issues later. This need for high-calorie food will take evolution a while to alter, as through most of human history, starvation has represented a far greater threat than obesity. This in turn means that even if you are cooking at home, people feel that same pressure for high-calorie food. So the threat to the current generation isn't really takeaway food, more the choices that they might make over what type of food they select. People need to think more carefully about what food they're eating, no matter who is doing the food preparation. Now, with so many people selecting high-calorie, high-salt food, generally most common types of food provided by outlets in urban areas will be those types of foods. Only as the demand for different food changes, the nature of the many food outlets also start to change. This sometimes can be a cosmetic change, with some food outlets offering healthier options which are still relatively unhealthy. Customers have the purchasing power. They need to know what they are buying, especially what is actually in their food and how many particularly calories may or may not have.